Jacob Demeni Lumiamila is a refugee from Rwanda who's been living in Canada for over 2 decades. Lumiamila arrived in Canada illegally and without documentation in 1994, and he was given refugee status in 1996. Since that time, Lumiamila has failed by any imaginable standards to become a functioning member of our society. His rap sheet is truly absurd. According to a recent Canadian federal court decision, during this time in Canada, Lumiamila has had, quote, approximately 389 police encounters, which resulted in 95 criminal charges and 54 convictions, unquote. The federal court decision goes on to say, quote, 10 of those convictions were for assault that included punching his ex-girlfriend in the face and randomly attacking innocent civilians. He has also been convicted for sexual assault and carrying a concealed weapon, namely an axe, unquote. This guy is a serious criminal. He deserves to be locked up, or even better, to be kicked out of Canada for good. Well, Canada's been trying to deport this thug back to his native Rwanda for years, but the guy refuses to leave. He won't cooperate with Canada's removal system and has vowed to never sign the required documents to complete his deportation order. You see, the government of Rwanda requires for him to sign a form before they'll let him enter their country, and he simply refuses to sign it. So we're stuck with this guy. Well, sort of. At the same time, the Canadian Border Services Agency has deemed Lumiamila inadmissible to Canada on grounds of serious criminality. So Canada will never allow this guy to become a Canadian citizen, but we still haven't figured out a way to get him out of Canada. So if we can't deport him, maybe we should just keep him locked up. Well, thanks to Canada's deeply flawed justice system, at least 5 judges in at least 7 different decisions have ruled to let him free. Yes, that's right. Multiple judges with the Immigration and Refugee Board, or the IRB, have ruled to release this thug back onto the streets of Vancouver. Last time he was released, by the way, the court heard that Lumiamila was found attacking random strangers on the streets of downtown Vancouver with an axe. But according to these IRB judges, Lumiamila has already served his time for these crimes, and they believe that it's counter to the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms to detain a person indefinitely. Well, sanity prevailed as the Chief Justice of the Federal Court ruled recently to overturn these earlier decisions and to keep this thug locked up. Rather than once again churning him through our revolving door prison system, the judge ruled that Lumiamila was a violent and dangerous threat to the Canadian public. He also didn't want to reward this criminal for refusing to cooperate with his deportation order. Honestly, it's nice to see a hint of common sense left in our justice system. Unfortunately, the playing field is still stacked against the interest of Canadians. Foreign criminals like Jacob Lumiamila have learned how to game the system. This guy clearly doesn't care about Canadian laws, but he has learned how to take advantage of every legal loophole and legal appeal available to him. He knows that leftist judges in Canada care more about the charter rights of foreign criminals than they do about the safety and the security of Canadians. And if anything, this case just goes to demonstrate how difficult it can be to remove a person once they've been granted refugee status in Canada. Even a dangerous criminal who clearly has no interest in following our laws. For the Rebel Media, I'm Candace Malcolm.